Ed, there is a thing known as a mental will or mental decision. And it's very strong, Ed, in the soulless, because that's the only way they have to control their life. And the problem for them, Ed, is that the nature of the body and natural forces come against their will and stop them from doing what they have mentally decided to do. And that is why nature is their enemy. Mental will, Ed. But then, Ed, there is the spirit will, which is the reason for which we exist as a soul. And it is the reason for which the soul takes up a body. And it is true primal sexual desire, which is not horniness, but the desire to merge with our beloved and complete the cycle of life and experience Godhood, which can only be experienced in completeness. The union of both polarities, male and female, and the living experience of that. So, Ed, what came to me is that when we have this awakening, Ed, of true sexual desire, and every human, Ed, that I've met so far, that I've come across, has experienced this at some time in their life, and it need not be at puberty, but like for me it was when I was 23, which is pretty late or whatever. But everyone has their time, and it could be like much later for some others. But when they sense, Ed, that there is somebody, they sense, Ed, they sense their beloved, literally directly, they sense their energy. And Ed, the thing I found, Ed, is that from that moment, when the spirit will is born in us, when this true sexual desire awakens in us, it's like a force. The true desire, Ed, that is will, that is the will of the body. That will, Ed, the parasite matrix comes against with many philosophies and directly hitting our health, Ed, because it's directly connected to our health, Ed, to our bodies. And so at the thug matrix, Ed, they do this, they morph our bodies with poisons, and they fill our heads, Ed, with all kinds of agendas and telling us that this is important in life, that is important in life, and make us, Ed, to suppress this spirit will, which is soul will, which is body will, Ed. And Ed, this is one of the main reasons why so many people are separated physically from their beloved, because the spirit will has not been given the importance that it should be. And I find that all the experiences of life, like in my own life, have been leading to the refining of this will, Ed. The refining of it means the affirmation that this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And the blocks that came up, Ed, was first a personality block, because like I considered myself like almost a nun, Ed. And so for me it was a huge destruction of my previous personality, which was a very, I was a very sexless personality, Ed, because I was surrounded by people always trying to seduce me. So I could just look at any guy naked or whatever. Guys have walked naked in front of me and I would be like, whatever, Like I was not responsive at all, Ed. So that was my personality, I had to come out of that. It was very difficult for me for me to be like a person who sexually desires a man. I was like, what the hell? Like, come on, not me, Like, I found that very base. I found that very stupid. I found that very foolish, And so the experiences of life, Ed, caused me to reach death again and again. And at the point of death, I realized that I want to live because I want to make love to you. Like at the point of death, so what I'm saying is that these things we manifest in our life, these situations which God sends us, the vast majority of them, Ed, are about refining and uniting our spirit will with our mental will. Because this unification, Ed, is required so that we manifest and we go towards, Ed, what we want rather than what we don't want. Because otherwise, Ed, I was going towards becoming an ascetic and that sort of thing, and that was against my nature, against my body will, against my spirit will, and I kept falling ill. And it was repeatedly through falling ill and through healing my body that my will began to be refined. Like, this is what I want, this is what I want. And I'm finding like something so helpful in this is urine therapy and autofecal therapy, Ed. Because when you take back your own, body's produce, then it's like a primal reaffirmation of your body will, which is to merge with the beloved. So the thing, Ed, is that the shortcut, Ed, the shortcut through life, Ed, to accomplish whatever, is to connect and accept our body or our spirit will, our reason for existence, to accept that, Ed, with the mind, the actual mental, the mind, and like remove any mental opposition that you have. And then at in between, the in between at the spirit and the mind, the whole emotions and everything will get balanced on its own as we unite this. And it seems that like now when I'm saying it, it's like, oh yeah, it's okay in your mind, you just agree that okay, yeah, you want to merge with your beloved. But in reality, Ed, there are huge subconscious blocks like religion and philosophy and a common culture, like for example, Ed, for a woman, if you're going to your main thing is going to be making love to a man, like automatically, Ed, you're considered like, don't you, like, you have no self-respect maybe, if that's your aim in life, and if that's what you're always moving towards, then you have no self-respect. And in the case of a man, Ed, I don't know personally, but it must be something like that, because men are told a lot of stuff, that you got to do this and you got to do that, and the right woman will support you, and like the woman is like a side issue, like a support thing. So this stuff, Ed, we don't know how deep it goes, and Ed, how much of it we uphold in our daily lives. Like, we might not consider with something that we're doing, that, for example, just hanging out with certain people who carry the consciousness, Ed, that love is a secondary thing, or it's an optional thing, and being physically with your beloved physically is not important, like you can meet them once in a while or whatever, like, but being with them, committed to them, living life with them, that is not considered like important, so there are places that carry this consciousness very strong, and there are people and groups, and we don't know how we are blocking our own manifestation, and we're blocking our own the refining of our will and the uniting of our will with our mind by exposing ourselves to these atmospheres and to these people. And then there are books there, there's all these things, Ed. Even in daily life, if you actually look at it, how many of the activities that does a person do that affirms the spirit will to merge with the beloved? How many of our daily activities, and all those which are not done in that consciousness, are done in that anti-love consciousness? And it's so strong, Ed, that many times I give you a lot of trouble, Ed, because I'll be like, you're sitting with people who don't believe in love, because I feel it physically, Ed. I get physically drained. I can feel it, so you must also be feeling the same thing, but you can't tell me like I tell you. But I'm just saying, this is just an example, Ed. We don't even know. And that is why, Ed, we go through so many situations which we can You know, we've got the cheat code now. It's not even the cheat code, it's the honor code, Ed. This is the honor code. This is the honor code of life. Because if we honor our beloved, Ed, then we have honored God, we have honored our parents, we have honored our ancestors and our bloodline, and we have honored humanity. We have honored life, Ed. It's the honor code, Ed, to put sexual desire merging with the beloved as the first and most important thing. And Ed, it it changes the chemistry of the brain for creative release, for creative solution finding, if we put our spirit will first, because that's the key that unlocks the entire system and the consciousness.